It's a real fun time for Texas football. I know for our fans and our players and coaches, we're playing great teams because the Big 12's just full of outstanding teams this year. 3 out of the last 4 games, our guys will be involved with watching game day some, which is always fun, especially for recruits. And 3 of the last 4 games have been primetime national TV with ABC. So this is a really good time. We felt like our guys played hard. We played well against an Oklahoma State team that always plays us well. It's probably one of the few times in the last few years that we haven't been so far behind that we would have to dig ourselves out of a hole. And I think that's because our guys respected this Oklahoma State team more than some in the past. And really, we've only been behind by a large amount here one time. We've had more trouble up in Stillwater. But the guys played well against a good team, as I said, but we didn't finish. We had chances at 28-14 to separate more from them and go ahead and close them out. And then at the end of the game, the defense played so well, we had chances offensively twice to go ahead and put points on the board and separate from them more, and we didn't. Defensively, we were very proud that we had 5 sacks. I think they'd given up 4 for the year. We were proud that 12 hits on the quarterback and 4 pressures. We did a really good job of defending Dez Bryant because he's such a great player for them and made so many super plays deep. Even against Baylor the week before, he was the difference in the ball game. Where they're so good offensively is when you roll to Dez Bryant and you double cover him, then you've got the big tight end to deal with, Pettigrew, and then you've got the running back, and their running game's really good. They've been averaging 283 yards a game. We held them to 217. We're mad, but part of that is because we miss more tackles than we can miss. We missed 12 tackles for 125 yards after contact, and give them credit. Usually you miss about 10. In some cases we've missed 6, but they had more yards after the miss than most. We had some key third down stops, and we did a good job in their passing game overall, and really proud that the defense came in and shut the game down at the end. We did not, we wanted to score, but very honestly, if we'd scored, we had to kick off, and we weren't doing that very well. So they could have scored on a long return, had a chance for an onside kick. So probably the way the game ended for us, putting them at the 6-inch line, 99.5 yards away with 33 seconds and no timeouts was pretty good. Concerns that we didn't stop the run as well as we wanted to, but again, give Oklahoma State credit for running the ball as well as anybody in the country. We talked about the missed tackles, and we'd really like to still have more turnovers. We forced 2 with the 1 4th down stop, and Earl Thomas did a great job of stripping the ball, but we need more turnovers. Players of the game, really proud of Henry Melton. This is the first time he's been the defensive player of the game, and good for him. He's come a long way and been through a lot, and he and Earl Thomas shared that award as the defensive player of the game. The Ball Hawks, Earl Thomas for causing the fumble, Sergio Kendall for recovering the fumble, and he gets faked out at the line of scrimmage and sprints about 12 yards downfield to recover the fumble, to show you the type of effort we've got. And Lamar Houston on the 4th down stop, and it shows you what coaching's worth too. Will call the great defense. Dwayne Akeen is screaming on the sideline, it's a screen, it's a screen, it's a screen, get inside, because he thought of that tendency. And if you watch, Curtis Brown actually moves inside of Dez Bryant. The drop is perfect by Lamar Houston, so the guys played really, really well in those areas. We did not have a hit that we felt like was significant enough to get the award for the big hit on defense this week. Offensively, we lost 2 turnovers, which is something we haven't done the last 2 weeks. We won the explosive plays 12-8, which is really important. 9 passes for explosives and 3 runs. Really, really good on third downs. 11 of 14, which is unbelievable, 78%. We weren't as good in the red zone. If we score in the red zone the last 2 plays, we're 6 for 6 like we have been, and the game's out of reach and not even an issue. The boss hog, the best offensive lineman, again, was Adam Ulatowski. Most productive players, Jordan Shipley and Colt McCoy. Biggest contributors with the entire offensive line and Greg Smith for their pass protection. Colt had 1 sack, and he had enough time to stand back there as long as he wanted. The great play of the game was Quan falling on his back and catching the ball in the end zone. and the big hit was Vondrell McGee running over one of their guys. We had 3 drives of over 80 yards, 2 of over 90 yards, which is showing consistency with the offense. Things that we need to do better. We didn't run the ball well at the end of the game. I'm not as concerned about the whole game, but when you line up and you need to be able to take the ball and run it instead of having to get a play like we did with Jordan, you'd rather be able to kill the clock and knock the ball in there and at the end of the game instead of having to come up fourth and short again. So we want to be more consistent in the running game and don't have the turnovers in the red zone. And we did drop 3 passes this time, which is something we haven't been doing. In the kicking game, it was really good as far as the punting was concerned. We only punted once, and we punted out at the 5-yard line, so that was good. Aaron Williams is so close to a block punt. Bless his heart, I think he got too excited. He ran right by it, but he was there, and good for he and Dwayne Aquina that we're getting that back. Our automatic, Hunter Lawrence, is the special teams player of the week again because he's continuing to be 100%. And our kickoff returns were okay. They weren't real poor, but our kickoff coverage was poor the first half. We gave field position against our defense at the 29-yard line, the 45. And you just can't do that in a field position game against them. And it's really amazing that our defense played as well as they did, being backed up that much. We'll change a few things we're doing there, and we're going to change some personnel. We're not doing that right, so we're going to fix it, and we feel like we need to. Going to El Paso and Colorado at night earlier in the year should help us with the environment out at Tech. Those were really good environments at the same time. And Graham Harrell and Colt should be 2 that everybody in the nation will be watching. It's 2 of the best quarterbacks again. It seems like we repeat ourselves every week. You just change the names of Macklin and Bryant to Crabtree, and you just keep working. Mike's done a great job with this team, and it's fun for the Big 12 South that 2 teams are rated in the top 5. I mean, that's really, really special, and should be a great game. Tech's a place I like to go. I think it's a great environment. It's fun. It's challenging, and they always play you so well out there, and it'll be a fun challenge for us.
Coach, could you talk about the similarities between Colt and Graham Harrell, small-town guys, son of coaches, and sort of one of those ironies, you're playing another coach's son again?
Yes, small-town guys. Small-town guys, sons of coaches, yes. You've answered your question there, Ed, so you've already got me. But the thing that they do is they both win for their programs. They're both as good as any quarterbacks in the country. They both run their systems perfectly, and they're as accurate as any quarterbacks I've ever seen.
So Graham Harrell played for Texas and Colt played for Texas Tech in the
Sure,
games?
no question. No question. We're seeing the best quarterbacks in the country in the Big 12. Zach Robinson, unbelievable. Todd Reesing, Chase Daniel. I mean, wherever you look, the young man at A&M, Gerard Johnson, completed 79% of his passes last week. I mean, it's just it's not stopping. Robert Griffin next week. I mean, it's a who's who of quarterbacks right now, young and old. It's just amazing, and I hope all the fans in the Big 12 are appreciating what we're seeing with quarterbacks.
Coach, have you ever coached against anyone as unique as Coach Leach? Mike's
different. He's fun. He's his own person. He's very bright. He always says that he's hard to defend because he's not he's not just the regular old Joe in coaching. He wants to be out of the box, and he's right. He is hard to defend. Does a great job. He's done an amazing job. I've said I thought Spike Dykes was the perfect coach for Texas Tech, and Spike and I have talked about it. You have to give Mike a lot of credit. He's done an amazing job of taking a system that you wouldn't think would work out there. You wouldn't think it would work in the wind, and he's made it work. I mean, it's just I've got to give him all the credit in the world.
What's the difference between his system and the spreads that we're seeing more and more? Is his different than the ones that are popping up more frequently?
There's some more similarities to his and Missouri, I think, because the quarterbacks are deeper, the splits are bigger, and Mike's running the ball more now. They're averaging 138 yards rushing, and they both do such a great job with the screen game. But Mike doesn't change that much. They're just really, really good at what they do, and they're going to look at your man or zone, and they're going to have the right call for it, and they just do an amazing job of throwing the ball.
Coach, so many times we've heard the phrase system quarterback associated with Texas Tech. Now we're hearing it associated with Missouri. What are your thoughts on that term?
I think if the system is good enough, you better find the right quarterback for it. And I think it is bad because there's a lot of people that are running those same plays that don't have the quarterback to do it. So you look at Graham Harrell, I think he'll be a great pro quarterback. You look at Chase Daniels, I think he'll be a great quarterback. People like to label things, and a lot of people get stuck on perceptions. And I don't think Mike's quarterbacks have gotten the credit they deserve because they do so well every year that people do not give him the credit for coaching quarterbacks because he develops those guys each year. And Tyler Potts will be the same way next year. And he also I don't think that the quarterbacks get the credit because Mike is so consistent with what he's doing offensively. I just don't think anybody thinks it's anything but Mike. But he's a great teacher. But those quarterbacks have played well. And we've seen Taylor. He's really good too.
Well, and essentially with Colts numbers being as high as they are, you could use the moniker for him too, but people don't.
Well, you could because you look at what Greg Davis has done with quarterbacks here and each year with our system. The thing that Greg has done is, as Mike has recruited the quarterback to fit his system, Greg has probably tweak the system more to fit the quarterback. And that's what we saw with Vince early as compared to Vince late.
Coach, we're hearing now that Tech's playing defense all of a sudden. They obviously had a very good game against a good Kansas team. What can you tell us about their defense right now and how is it different?
We really have respect for Ruffin McNeil. He's the new defensive coordinator. He's a guy that was at East Carolina when we were at North Carolina and Appalachian State. So we've known Ruffin for a long time. He's got them playing hard and playing with confidence. They're forcing more turnovers than we are. I think they've had 14 interceptions that they've gained. And I believe they're +5 in turnover ratio on us, so that could be a big part of this game. But they look better up front. They're bigger and they're stronger. They're getting more pressure on the passer. And they're doing more things. They're still about an 18% blitz team, but they're moving around more.
Coach, we talk about you've had a lot of success over Tech, 10-2, the only 2 losses coming in Lubbock. Why just going and playing there is difficult, and like Oklahoma State, is this the best Tech team y'all seen?
It is the best Tech team we've seen. I think they're legitimate. They proved that last week. I mean, it was the Kansas game was, boy, they just scored at will, and we know Kansas is a good team. And at the same time, if you look at our scores with Tech, they've all been closer out there than they have here. I mean, we had the 43-40 here, and we had the one out there that we got the advantage right after Vince played so poorly against Missouri. He had the great game the next week against Tech. But every other game out there, regardless of whether it was Spike, who beat us the first year we played out there, or playing Mike, they've all been 10-point games or less. So that's why we expect it to be a great game out there.
Coach, you did so well defensively against Missouri's splits on the offensive line. Does that give you confidence going into this game where you see a similar offensive line?
Every game is so different now. You can't even project. Look at Missouri struggled against us. Look at how they played against Colorado. I mean, they looked great. They didn't miss a pass. I mean, they were back to the Missouri we saw before Oklahoma State. So I just think Missouri had a couple of bad weeks there. And so what we've got to do is start the season over, and that's what we talked to our guys about. And it's nothing against Texas Tech, and you better go out and play your best game.
Have you ever experienced 4 weeks like this where you're playing nationally ranked teams 4 weeks in a row and having to get the gas tank full every week?
We experience every week in football because you never know who's going to play good against you. And at Texas, everybody plays so good. So it's the first time at Texas we have ever, in the history of our school, beaten 3 ranked teams in a row. Probably the first time we've ever played 3. You know, in the Southwest Conference, there weren't that many ranked teams year in and year out, especially at the end. And we'll see this more now, I think, in the future in the Big 12. But very honestly, this team has played hard for 8 weeks, and that's hard to do. So you have to give the team credit, their character and their toughness and their blue-collar attitude. And we'll have to play that way against Baylor next week. The one thing that people aren't giving you credit to Baylor for is they're getting better every week. If you look at our games after this stretch, and there's been so much talked about with this stretch, we've got Baylor who's improving and got a great quarterback, and they don't like us. We go to Kansas. Last time we went up there, Todd Reesing will be mad. Last time we went up there, we won with 18 seconds left, 11 seconds left to Tony Jeffries when Vince overcame a 4th and 18 on a great quarterback draw call. by the way. And then Texas A&M, who we haven't played very well against the last 2 weeks. So I don't think we're talking about a 4-week stretch here in our 3 weeks in the past and this one. I think we're talking about a 4-week stretch to the end that'll be tough.
Coach, obviously against Oklahoma you had a win, a close win, but a comeback win. How important do you think it was for the team to have a win where they were ahead and they held on?
We thought we probably got what we needed Saturday. Everything wasn't easy Saturday. It wasn't sharp. I mean, there were some things that we need to fix. So it's not like the Missouri first half when we walked out of there feeling too good about ourselves. And at the same time, we thought it was such a reverse for Oklahoma State game because we'd been sorry at the beginning. They jumped out, and we had to come back and fight. This one we got ahead and didn't do things well at times while we were ahead and still hung on. So if this thing had been 42-24, it probably would have been worse for us in preparation this week because the players now, we have their attention this week. They were not happy with not finishing the game right against Oklahoma State, and at the same time gave Oklahoma State a lot of credit. You know, the Oklahoma State kids said they could have won. They could have. Well, we could have done better too. I mean, that's what you get in a ball game, and Mike deserves fantastic credit for his improvement at Oklahoma State. I mean, they're a legitimate football team because anybody that can run it and throw it like they do, and anybody that has a wide receiver like that and a tight end like that, I mean, they've got and a running back like that. Those guys are really good, so they can beat anybody they play. We think.
Coach, you had a chance to watch the film. Was the Oklahoma State game your, I don't want to say worst, but was it the most, did you make more mistakes in this than any other game than you made this year?
We probably did, but some of that credit has to go to Oklahoma State. I think, again, what we just talked about is overcoming the adversity, handling the pressure of where they are and the teams each week. And every week somebody says you're going to get upset. So if they watch TV, there's no chance this week, no chance this week. Well, they'll get beat this week. Well, there's too many straight games in a row, they're going to get beat. So this bunch has just kind of handled what's been thrown at them. And the best thing about Saturday's game to me was that they handled the adversity. Most teams would have caved in, and they didn't really seem to be pressed about it. I mean, they kept their head. The coaches kept their head. Everybody knew things weren't going as well as we wanted them to at times, but nobody panicked. And I thought that was the best thing that we got out of this game is it was as physical as the Oklahoma game. In fact, some of our kids said it may be more physical a game than the Oklahoma game was. But that's two of the most physical games I've seen since we've been here.
Mack, Jordan would attest to that. He got bent in ways his bodies aren't supposed to bend. This is a kid you thought may never get on the field for 2 years, and now he just takes a pounding and pops up every play.
He is. Jordan is getting ready to break our single-season touchdown record. He's right behind Limas in career touchdowns at the University of Texas, and he hadn't even played that much really when you look at how fast he's coming. And he is just a playmaker. And a lot of people, we've talked so much about the chemistry between Colt and Jordan because they're roommates and all that. Well, you have to add Quan to that group. And now Chris Obanai is moving up the charts as receptions for a running back. I think a lot of it comes from how hard they've worked in the weight room and how hard they worked this summer and the spring to make sure that they keep that combination, because it's like they've got eyes in the back of their head. The touchdown Jordan catches in the south end is just an amazing throw and catch. The one that Quan catches on his back. And I heard him say yesterday, yeah, well, we work on laying on our back and catching balls. And I thought, yeah, but you don't run down there with somebody on you, lay down and catch it. So it was just a great throw. And then the gutsy throw and catch of Colt to Jordan at the end of the game when we're trying to kill the clock shows you that Greg Davis has enough confidence in those guys to do that.
Okay.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Coach.